I'm slightly worried that Tyrus might be dying in front of our eyes listening to you, actually. You're
I'm
right,
sorry.
Tyrus.
You just keep saying in the dark and Joe Biden.
Is he like Cher?
You keep saying in the dark and Joe Biden. Like Joe Biden wouldn't have been allowed on a plane by himself. They couldn't put him in a box.
Funny because he was on a.
He would have wandered. He would have wandered off in the desert somewhere.
Are you owning me because Donald Trump hid in a catering box? Is that
no? I'm owning you because the question.
Did I miss the memo?
You're so upset. You act like Donald Trump forgot to took you out to dinner, didn't call you back. Like this, you're not.
Tyrus absolutely shuts down libtarded Jojo from Jerz on Piers Morgan as they debate over the left's insane reaction to Trump being secretly evacuated from Air Force One under the threat of an attempted Iranian attack on his life. Tyrus cooks in this clip, and we hear the exact same shit we always do from the left from Jojo. Honestly, listening to her mental gymnastics, I thought I was listening to Brian Shapiro. Let's dive into this madness.
Well, joining me to debate all this is Wajahat Ali, author of The Left Hook, conservative commentator Elijah Schaffer, author and Fox News personality Tyrus, plus Joanne Carducci, a.k.a. Jojo from the Jerz. Well, welcome to an extremely lively panel, at least on paper. So hope you all live up to your billings. Tyrus, great to have you back on Uncensored.
Always a pleasure.
It's been way too long. So let me start with you, great man. So here's my view of this plane thing. I absolutely buy in to the number one priority for the Secret Service being the protection of the President of the United States. Doesn't matter what party he comes from, the President must be protected. There was clearly a very serious threat against the President's life. It clearly involved the plane that he would be traveling on. So I totally understand why they did what they did. And in fact, there's precedent with Bill Clinton when he was president, where they squirreled him off a plane and so on. Where I've got a problem with this, Tyrus, is I don't like the fact that if the threat was that serious, a bunch of journalists and staffers were left on the plane that was under threat and it took off, because the whole point of the decoy ploy that they operated would have been to lull the Iranians into thinking Trump was on that plane. Are you comfortable with what happened here?
Well, it's one of those double-edged swords. I understand why they did it. It's not, and if you're going to decoy, you can't tip off the media, unfortunately, especially the media that will leak anything against Trump at any time, at any moment. So it's an ugly side of real life. I mean, luckily nobody was hurt, but you really can't question it in terms of like, yeah, that's what has to happen. Unfortunately, when you have a president that countries are trying to kill, and Iran in particular, who we all know for 47 years has no problem killing Americans, and it would be a huge feather in their hat and probably would have ended the conflict on their end if they were successul. So I understand it, don't like it, doesn't taste good, but unfortunately, that's the world we live in right now.
You know, it's interesting, Tyrus, because I've listened, I always deploy one simple test on stories like this. Would the people who are kind of downplaying what happened here, would they be as keen to downplay it if it was Joe Biden who was president and he had done this?
No.
You know,
no, they wouldn't.
Being honest, what did you think?
Like I said, this is the problem with America. Everyone should just make a video and save everybody a lot of time. Anytime anything comes out with the president and you're just team, whatever it is wrong, just make the video. Is this Trump idea? I hate it. Was it to protect Trump? I hate it. Save us all the time in the debate because they're going to pick apart. I mean, I don't think the president was excited about being stuffed in a box, and how I'm sure in a lot of ways, Iran will take that as some sort of victory that he cowered out of there and left. So, but again, the opposition to Trump is never going to stop. Long after he's out of office, they'll still say that he's the reason whatever Republicans running or whatever policy is. They're just their commitment to his downfall is become a religion.
Right out the gate. I like the way Tyrus phrased that. I agree. It doesn't leave a good taste in your mouth knowing the press was left in the dark on a decoy plane. But I'm wondering here, do people boarding Air Force One have to sign any kind of waiver? It just seems like one of those unavoidable risks of being a journalist that close to the president. Think about the logistics. If they had warned everyone, would there have been mass panic? If everyone suddenly got off the plane, would that instantly tip Iran off? And exactly like Tyrus said, I'm sure those journalists would love to leak a story like that in real time. Trump has a lot of enemies right now, and the Secret Service #1 priority is his safety, no matter if we like it or not. And that has to be the case.
Okay, Jojo, welcome back to Uncensored. I think you gave us a sense of your thoughts about this when you said Trump was so fucking scared of Iran that he hid in a fucking food truck and sent 2 multi-billion-dollar aircrafts full of people into the sky as decoys to save his own sorry ass. It really is something. Why would the leader of the free world need to hide in a catering truck from a country he had totally obliterated? Joe Biden never hid in a food truck like a scared little bitch. So I think that gives us a sense of where you're coming from here. But let me start with you with again, an important question. I presume you have no issue with the Secret Service prioritizing the safety of the President of the United States in the way that they did.
None at all. Not absolutely. That is their job. And he is the president of the United States and he should be protected. I want him to live a very long life so that he can see his day in court. But that said, if Joe Biden had hid in a catering truck, if he had cowered from a country he began a war with that he said we had defeated and totally obliterated on day one almost 6 months ago.
Is she serious right now? So let me get this straight, Jojo. Trump gets intelligence that there is a possible imminent attack, and he is supposed to just, I don't know, be like, well, I guess this is it, and throw his hands up? What exactly is the alternative here? Or is he supposed to get the hell out of there and let the Secret Service do their job? I don't know.
The right would be running with this 24/7, 365. It would be on Fox News all day long, and you would all be talking about it and making fun of him about it. He couldn't even fall off a bike without it being a huge news story for 2 weeks straight.
It's genuinely funny that she tries to bring up Biden falling on a bike here as some kind of gotcha parallel. Because the leader of the free world doing things that you personally don't agree with politically, and the leader of the free world being mentally and physically unqualified for the job are two entirely different things.
So if this had been Joe Biden, you would all be talking about it in exactly the same way that we're talking about it. Sorry?
He fell off a bike because he couldn't ride. This is just dumb.
Have you ever seen Donald Trump even try to mount a bike? The man was hiding next to the fucking plain hummus. You saw Donald Trump on a bike?
This is Piers. I love you, man, but this is why I don't do this show. You give voices to complete idiots. She thinks that the Trump was like, oh no, I ran, I'm terrified.
When was Donald Trump on a bike? What is your name? I'm sorry, what's your name? When was Donald Trump on a bike?
You must be all that in New Jersey. Jojo from New Jersey.
You started insulting me. When was Donald Trump on a bicycle?
Your comments are ignorant. It's like anyone else
you're not answering my question. When was Donald Trump on a bicycle at all? When have you in his entire life seen him riding a bicycle?
All right, Jojo, let me just. I don't think I've seen Trump on a bike.
Thank you.
So let's just move on.
I
from
was
Trump
answering your
bikes.
question. I'm so sorry, Piers.
Typical libtard changing the subject.
Yeah, it's just.
Well, here's my point, Jojo.
Yeah,
I was answering the question.
All right, Jojo, here's my point. Here's my point for you. Right, I understand how you feel about Trump, but I do think, for example, let me flip the question back to you. If it had been Joe Biden who'd done this, I don't think you would be as exercised about what happened as you are because it's Trump. Do you accept that?
Well, what I will say is that I don't think that Joe Biden would have done this without at least telling somebody in the press. I don't think that he would have used his own Secretary of State as a decoy. I don't think he would continue to lie about it after the fact. I think that, as you pointed out at the very beginning of the show, that's the part of this that stinks the most. That's the part that's so wrong, but it's also so indicative of Donald Trump. This is someone who has no regard for human life. He has no regard for the 18 heroes we've lost in this war that he decided to wage with Iran, the war that, by the way, is destroying our economy.
I mean, this is exactly why I thought I was listening to Brian Shapiro. It sounds exactly like him.
GDP is lower. We're losing jobs. Inflation is going up. All of this because of the war he started in Iran. He wouldn't have to have this shell game of 3 multi-million-dollar aircraft, including Bribe Force One, if he hadn't started this war with Iran. I don't think Joe Biden would have kept all of those people in the dark. I don't think he would have hidden in a catering truck with his diaper valet and whatever Natalie Harp is. I don't think that he would have kept the press in the dark. I think those are some big distinctions. Again, Donald Trump has no regard for human life.
How many unsubstantiated claims did she just make? I mean, what the fuck? How do you know that, Jojo? How do you know that's what Biden would have done? He lied to us about everything, and half the time, he wouldn't have even known if it was true or not. He didn't know what the fuck was going on. She can sit there and say that people who support Trump would have freaked out over Biden doing this, but she completely fails to see that she herself is freaking out over Trump doing it. To make it worse, she immediately starts giving hypothetical explanations for Biden. Like if he was in the exact same scenario, she would ascribe some noble intentions to him. That right there is the liberal delusion in real time and exposes, yet again, the first principle of the left: pure hypocrisy.
He only cares about himself.
I'm slightly worried that Tyrus might be dying in front of our eyes listening to you, actually. You're
I'm
right,
sorry,
Tyrus.
you just keep saying
Tyrus?
in the dark and Joe Biden.
Is he like Cher?
You keep saying in the dark and Joe Biden. Like Joe Biden wouldn't have been allowed on a plane by himself. They couldn't put him in a box.
Funny because he was on a
He would have wandered off in the desert somewhere.
Are you owning me because Donald Trump hid in a catering box? Is that
No, I'm owning you because the question.
Did I miss the memo?
You're so upset. You act like Donald Trump took you out to dinner, didn't call you back. Like this, you're not helping anyone with your.
You can leave your fantasies out of this.
You don't like them. We get it. You don't like him, and you're going for clicks, and you're talking like you have some insight, like you know him. Like he was like, I'm
this
scared.
is what you're gonna do.
Help
This
me
whole
get me
show
out of
is
here.
you're gonna
This is
attack
just-
me.
No, I
That's
just
what you're
your
gonna do the
idea.
whole
Well, the
show?
important thing.
is
You don't know
terrible.
who I am, but I'm worth all of your
I
time
don't,
and energy.
and I won't.
It's weird how much time and energy you're devoting to talking to me. For somebody who doesn't know who I am.
Somebody has to say something, and I'm kind of mad at the other panel. You have two distinguished people in there. Guys, say something, because listening to this, I could literally get a
Tyrus,
13-year-old reading TikTok to say this stuff. Like,
I'm going
I say something?
to bring in Elijah.
please do.
Tyrus is right. Let me bring in Elijah.
Yeah, let me say something. First of all,
Please
Jojo,
do not leave, Tyrus. We have
Jojo.
many other things to discuss with you, Tyrus. Please don't leave. Elijah, let me bring you in here. Look, in 2000, as I mentioned, President Clinton flew from India to Pakistan in an unmarked plane that followed the traditional Air Force One. The ruse was revealed when he disembarked from the second plane for a 6-hour visit marked by this extraordinary security. 3 years later, the White House claimed that George W. Bush would spend Thanksgiving in Texas, only to arrive in Baghdad in a blacked-out Air Force One. And in 2023, Joe Biden was also secretly taken to Ukraine with a slimmed-down press pool of one reporter and one photographer. So there's a lot of precedent for sort of skullduggery, if you like, for various reasons involving the security of the president and aircraft. The difference here is that in all three of those cases, the media on board were aware of the deception, but have been asked not to report it in real time. Now, the difference here is that none of the media were made aware of it. And I saw Barbara Starr on CNN earlier, who's someone I really respect, used to work with her, who's covered this kind of thing for many decades. She described it as completely unprecedented. So, are you comfortable with the fact that the media took off on this plane completely unaware of the direct threat against it?
Yeah, first of all, Jojo, just want to say I appreciate your perspective. I mean, your room's nicely decorated like I used to decorate back in like 9th grade, so it's very cute. But I also want to say, this is the bipartisan BS where you have Jojo taking this left wing. Yeah, she has this left wing, oh, this is bad because Trump's bad. And then you have Tyrus coming on, who I love. I love his commentary. He's going to defend Trump because he's a Fox News commentator. And this is the problem, and why democratic socialism is rising on the left, why national socialism is rising on the right. People really realistically see one issue here. The reason why Trump thinks he's under threat, and I was at the RNC during the last election when that threat came out from Iran, saying that Trump was going to be assassinated. The truth is probably there are Iranians who want to assassinate him, but where is he getting this intelligence from? All signs point towards Israeli intelligence. And the reason why Israel obviously has a vested interest in this is because the war is extremely unpopular, especially with individuals on the populist left, on the populist right, across the board, 35 years and younger. And so Trump said, if I'm assassinated, nuke them. Why would Iran want to risk assassinating Trump if it means their demise, a president that already called for the wiping out of the country. I don't think anyone under 35, this is an age gap issue, support that. Now, I have friends on the press corps for the White House. I have friends who were there, work for Semaphore and other publications. And even though I'm sorry, I'm going to apologize to them now, young people wouldn't give two shits if journalists were blown out of the sky. That's just the truth, because honestly, the press has been the enemy of the American people for too many decades now. And that's the risk that they take. And ultimately speaking, it's like, you know, they would have leaked information. If Trump is actually under threat, then we know Jojo would have actually defended him if it was Biden. And Tyrus probably might have attacked, you know, Biden if he did the same thing. It's the job of the president to stay safe and for them to protect him.
You don't know me at all.
Well, no, I'm just saying. Go ahead.
I'm an independent contractor. Pierce will tell you, I actually don't work for Fox. I actually met the president, and I like what he's doing. But I'm defending it's the idea. I don't care if you dislike. I don't care if I agree with maybe 40% of his policies. My issue is this: if you're going to come on and talk about an issue, talk about the issue. When people start talking about personal attacks, it's just no one's listening to that. Calling him names, and I could do the same thing. I make a lot of money making fun of people in a comedy show.
You are funny. You're a comedian.
But when you're going to talk about the
funny.
president, people's lives were in risk. People's lives were at risk. It sucks. It was a bad situation, but we understand. But it wasn't the president's. It's what Secret Service does, and it's ugly. And to not be able to have that kind of conversation, it's the president. No one's life should be focused around the president. No one should wake up in the morning and wonder what Donald Trump's having for breakfast. I could give a frog's fat ass. But what I do care about is we're going to have a discussion instead of talking about our personal feelings. Talk about the actual matter. If your issue is that the media was left out to dry, possibly having their plane blow up, talk about that. But leave the personal stuff out of it. At some point, somebody has to be the adult in the room. Somebody has to start, because when people see this stuff, all we're doing is contributing to the problem. Like, talk about the actual issue. If you have a problem.
That's what we were talking about. We were talking about the press.
Terrible. But calling him bitch boy, the press, the media, mainstream media in the United States picked a side. And that's why people aren't disconnected. But I'm sorry. If 25 people were blown up in a plane, America would have a huge problem with that.
Fuck yeah, we would have a problem if Iran blew 25 Americans out of the sky and attempted to murder our president. Nobody wants to see that. Well, a lot of leftists probably do. But I think what that other dude, Elijah, was getting at in a pretty blunt way was that a lot of us would understand that these reporters know the risk of being that close to the president. That being said, we would obviously have a massive problem with it if it did happen. But whether Trump started the conflict or not, these reporters know that we are at war, and that brings certain risks. They are still choosing to fly on Air Force One. If they're willing to do that work now, knowing that there's a possibility of danger, but as soon as that danger might actually be real, then they're suddenly not okay with it, then maybe they shouldn't have been deceptive about the reality of their jobs in the first place and put themselves in that position.
People would be,
I think that's
feel terrible for them.
You know what, Tyrus? I'm glad you said that, because the thing I really objected to, Elijah,
they're human beings.
Well,
and also they're Americans in the main. Well, Wajah, let me just come to you. Welcome back to Uncensored. I think Tyrus made some good points there, and I think the part that really jarred with me that Elijah said was this idea that young people in America would be jubilant if a bunch of journalists from the White House press corps got blown to pieces.
I just don't think they would have cared that much. I don't think that it would have been for young people. It wouldn't have been as big of a deal.
I think you're.
Yeah.
No, you're completely wrong. You're completely wrong, because they're actually Americans in the main. How are they Americans?
You overestimate the approval rating of press and how much young people hate establishment media. My personal opinion is
people that without a face. When they put the picture of the face of the American journalists who died or were killed in this plane, when they see the families crying, Americans going to care. But see, we have this thing. This is the world we live in now. We call them journalists. We call them names that make them non-human. So it's easy to say, I hate all journalists. I wish all billionaires are bad. White people are bad. Black people are this. When you give them blanket names with no humanity connected to it, everyone sounds like a badass when they say they don't care. But I guarantee you now, if those journalists' face showed up, these 25 American journalists blew up on a plane, every young person would be people would be upset, they'd be crying, there'd be visuals
100%.
because we have become so
100%.
unhumane. So
Why are
that's
we
I love that Tyrus brought this up at the end because it points to a massive underlying issue. Most people in the West have been indoctrinated from birth into this purely materialistic worldview. Most people are completely unaware of it, but this is one of the glaring symptoms. Words and language itself become some arbitrary human construct with no objective meaning behind it. They have removed the vertical, spiritual aspect of our reality, leaving a flat, dead world. So when somebody says a person or a human or a baby or a child, what does that actually mean to them? What does man or woman mean? When you have people living in completely different realities, as you can clearly see with Jojo, there is always going to be this massive disconnect that is fundamental. It's the Tower of fucking Babel, man. When you can be talking at length with a leftist and they don't understand a single thing you say, we aren't even speaking different languages. The disconnect is at the point where the mind fundamentally interprets the data differently. And that right there is the real problem. If you guys enjoyed the content, like and share the video, subscribe for more, and remember, stay unchained.